if I could have your attention, you guys are making the program late. You know, I always start early rather, although I don't have much to say today except a major announcement. I got confirmation today that our speaker next week will be Tiffany Dawn Sykes, the new Director of Athletics at Florida A&M. All right. She's coming in early. She wants to talk to the 220 quarterback club.
Not Eddie, but the 220 quarterback club.
Well, she said Eddie and the 220 quarterback club. Yeah. Yeah, she said she's heard a lot about me, but not much about the 220 quarterback club.
I know you're going to dress it up.
No,
You got to get her right, man.
no, I didn't get a chance to talk to her, but Keith Miles arranged it, and she said to tell me to announce to the 220 quarterback club that she will be here next week. So we looking forward to that. Come early. There's going to be a big crowd.
Hey, don't you be late.
Oh, you ever known me to be late?
No, not one time. Not one time.
I want to say a couple of things about.
We've never known you to be late. You're always on time.
Thank you, Tommy.
It's just late.
I need to, one thing about, I don't know if anybody read Rattler Nation lately, but for some reason, somebody has in there that she did not make the cut, that she was like way down the line. And I don't know how, out of all the candidates, there were two who got unanimous votes, and Tiffany was one of them. And the first time we interviewed Tiffany, she was in Belarus. For those of you who think that's some part of Florida, that's in Europe. And
the country of Budapest.
Budapest. Oh, I don't know about that, Doc. I thought your world was English.
I went to the press conference and I welcomed her, and I thought Selvin told me she was in Budapest. I didn't hear him say it.
Oh.
So I'm mistaken.
Well,
I thought he said Budapest.
Selvin should have made a more complete statement.
Okay. That's where I got that.
But she was in Belarus with the soccer team from Dartmouth.
And you showed it different. He said she was with the rugby team. So
Okay.
maybe it's another time, two different occasions.
Okay. Who do you believe? Me and Selvin.
I believe you. Probably two
And-
different occasions.
And I guess I need to check with Selvin on this, although he hasn't been right on most things lately. I think it was like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning over in Belarus. Is that right, Selvin?
I don't know what time it was, but they came knocking on their door to clean up the room.
Yeah, it was very, very early. And she arranged to do a Zoom call, and everybody was just blown away by this lady. And I got the same reaction when she spoke at Lee Hall when Doc made her welcome with her remarks. And as I was walking in Lee Hall, a young lady came out who I don't know, and she doesn't know me, but she said, that lady is something else. That's the kind of impression she made. And many times during her presentation, she got a number of rounds of applause. She really has a sparkling personality, and you're gonna like this lady. I'm telling you, she's very, very special, very smart, And her whole career has been centered around becoming an athletic director at an HBCU. And she told us that the HBCU that she wanted to be director of athletics of was Florida A&M University. And if you heard that story, you would believe that she didn't just say that for the committee. She got emotional during the second interview and cried a little bit. But she was so very serious. I think you're going, don't miss next week. I got a couple other comments, but Vaughn got some special announcements as well. Vaughn?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. This is what happened when your head coach running late and there's nobody else at the head table. As I always say, it's a pleasure to be in front of you today. Mr. Jackson, I want to recognize some special guests that I'm responsible for being here today. That's Doug Austin, former FAMU football player, and Dr. Tamia Austin from Atlanta. They're here today. And I guess what I can do is kind of do some sports information for you going now. Fill in for Josh right now. I know he's stretched out, but you know, it's almost like Mike Rice never left. Almost like he never left, because Mike Rice came back, and last week the golf team won first place at the SAS Championship with Fred Couples there. And so when they had the Charlie Sifford Classic in North Carolina in Charlotte, you know, the player of the year last year, the guy who was the medalist national champion, Gregory Odom from Howard. We have a player, our number one player, and I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not going to mess it up. Our number one player on the golf team, which is one of the reasons Coach Rice came back, because he brought the guy here, and then the guy was wanting to go where he was, and Mike Rice was saying, no, stay there. You belong there. That was one of the reasons it was tearing at his heart to come back. This guy beat Gregory Odom match play 5 and 4. That means he was up by 5 strokes with only 4 holes to play. They stopped the match on the 13th hole. That was the national championship player last year that our number one beat like a drum. So that golf team is really something special, and we don't really get an opportunity to see them. I don't know if Coach Rice is going to have the Rattler Spring Invitational, but if he does, it deserves us going out there at something, welcome reception or something, because we have an exceptional golf team. Also for volleyball, our volleyball team is on like a 13-game streak, just running through the SWAC. I mean, they're winning 3-0, 3-1. They just won 3-0 against, I think, Alabama State, who was the team that they faced in the championship last year. So, and that was up there. Jackson State, that's what. Yeah, so volleyball team, Coach Gokhan has really got them humming. And Dominique, the young lady who set all the records last year, she's not even having to work too hard, because there's another young lady that Coach brought in is actually outscoring her a lot. So the volleyball team is amazing. So they play Bethune-Cookman here home soon. So Friday. When I was working at FAMU, I have all that information. I just got half of it now, so y'all help. 6 or 7, they play Bethune-Cookman. I think that needs to be a packed house. And thank God Coach Simmons showed up, because I'm running out. There was another thing that I think softball is playing today against TCC in their fall ball. And actually the softball team is actually looking really good. The coach that is coaching them now is Camise Patterson. She was the assistant coach, and she's actually doing a good job now. I think that official search may be underway, but actually Camise is doing an excellent job right now. Yes. And I want to, Mr. Jackson, you want me to turn this over to Coach Simmons?
No, I need to make another comment.
Okay.
You knew the answer to that question.
I got to watch Vaughn. I think he's trying to take over. Before I bring up Coach Simmons, I think I recognize Coach Spady in the house. Coach Spady, would you come up and say a few words?
Yeah, no, I don't have that ability. But thank you, I appreciate that. I really wanted to come here today just to extend a word of thank you. I've searched, I've kind of sat in my mind, just trying to decide what to say to y'all. But I don't have the words. I can tell you that I've experienced a level of kindness and giving and caring and love it's been a long time coming. If I'm 56 years old, about to be 57, and I have not experienced that. And I can tell y'all that I think I talked to Coach once before about this group. I'm a former head football coach, and we had a group similar to this, nowhere near as helpful, nowhere near as invested in our personal lives. And this is a group, y'all know how expensive it is to stay healthy. This is a group who understands that, and your contributions, your love, your caring, your concern for me and my family. I mean, that goes a long way. It wasn't an easy transition. I mean, I'm not done yet. Like, for instance, my vision is not complete, and so I've got a long way to go to be back to zero. And everything that y'all did, all your concern, all your well wishes and your love, that's really helping me get through this. And I wanted to say I appreciate y'all. I don't have the words, so you fill in the blank for me. I really appreciate y'all. And I'm speaking for my family as well. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. Of course, most of what happened was done primarily by me. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach with a 5-game winning streak, the head coach of the Florida A&M Rattlers, Coach Willie Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. And obviously definitely want to bring Coach Spady by today to, one, give you guys an update and show his gratitude, but two, I figured after 2 close games, I need a little bit of bodyguard, so he sees well enough to block, so boss, he better be careful when you try to run up here. Coach got enough vision to grab somebody, so. But no, it's such an honor to be here and a blessing to stand in front of you guys. No one was able to do this last week, and so had a chance to celebrate a birthday as well last Wednesday. And again, told the team the only gift that I really want is to go to Louisiana and come away with the victory. And they were able to deliver that to me. And I'm such a focused guy that probably gets me in trouble at home a lot with the wife, that I don't really think about much other than football. And it wasn't until after the game that Josh, my sports information director, said, "How's it feel, Coach?" I said, "Well, feel good to win." And he said, "No, you just got your 50th career victory." And I didn't even know. I didn't even realize it. So that was a great birthday present as well, a huge milestone. And much like last night, I did an interview last night, and a guy asked me about it, and I said, well, it's our 50th win. It's not about me, never has been about me. Coach Spady, these assistant coaches, our support staff, Troy, Cole, Vinny, Lexia, Donald, our student trainers, our team, our administration, you guys are just as much a part of these wins, the 29 that I've gotten here at FAMU as anybody else. And so this is something that we all share in, and this is our program, and I'm blessed and honored to be able to continue to lead such a great group of young men and be supported by such an amazing group. Again, like Coach Spady said, the love that you guys have shown, many traveling. I see the Austins here today, and there's not a game that we show up to that they're not the first faces we see. And many of you are just like that. So just being able to support these guys wherever they go, support us wherever we go is truly a special feeling. So definitely honored to be here and glad to be sitting here at 5-2 on a 5-game winning streak. Right there in second place in the East. And obviously, much like last season, looks like Jackson is not slowing down. That train is still rolling, and obviously they still got 4 more games to play as well. But we got to be able to position ourselves to be right there in the conversation in the event that they don't lose twice. And if it comes back to another playoff appearance, that will be right there in that conversation. So, of course, it takes us to continue to win games. Takes us to play well, and we'll definitely start that push, here pretty soon, trying to appeal to the voters and everyone who has a hand in selecting the at-large team. So, but it's two hard-fought games on the road. Of course, many people know how hard it is to go to Orangeburg, South Carolina, and win a game. And Grambling State hadn't lost a home game since 2017 before we went there this past weekend. So. Extremely tough place to play. The hole is indeed, it was hot. It was a long walk from the locker room to the stadium. Felt like we were walking down Damascus Road there for a little bit. I didn't know when the stadium was going to show up. But again, it's just all the challenges that we faced, the adversities that we had to overcome during the game. Had the ball not bounce our way a few times, had a few calls, and a few more, and then a few more not go our way, and that's a part of it for 2 weeks in a row. But for 2 weeks in a row, our team found a way to get it done when it mattered most. Our defense stood up tall on 2 straight games with the ball in the other team's hand to go down and score to take the lead, and our defense stood up and stopped them on 4th down. So again, huge testament to those guys. They're playing extremely well right now. We played the game without 3 key starters on the defensive side of the ball, without Terrell Jennings, our starting running back, and for us to still be able to go in there and play at a high level defensively, is a testament to the coaching staff that we have on that side, and also to those players that picked up the slack. When your best player is out, best pass rush is out, somebody else got to step up. And Kamari Stevens had a career day with 3 sacks against Grambling this past Saturday. So. I hadn't seen the SWAC awards yet. Don't know if he hadn't gotten defensive player of the week. I need to see who got it, to see who played a better game than the guy who had 3 sacks, and played it with a bum shoulder. He hurt his shoulder on a week prior against South Carolina State. Every Tuesday, Dr. Rowe, our team physician, comes in and sees everybody, and he was adamant about trying to give Kamari a cortisone shot in his shoulder. And he's like, nope, I'm not taking one. I'm not going to take a shot. And we knew that his shoulder was pretty beat up. And he refused the shot. And Dr. Rose said, well, on game day, if you go out there, it's hurting you, then we'll give you a localized shot to numb it for the game. And he didn't take that either. So he went out there with a significantly hurt shoulder. I know Eddie knows with all the sports injuries that he's had over the years. But an AC sprain is a pretty significant shoulder injury, and it hurts to anytime you make impact. It hurt. He plays defensive end, so that means taking on tackles every play. That means taking on pulling guards every play. That means taking on tight ends and fullbacks, and to still go out there and get 3 sacks is again a testament to that young man and his tenacity and just his motor. And then Courtney Cox had a phenomenal game the other night. Some big hits. And, of course, Isaiah Major and Johnny Chaney continue to play at a high level at linebacker. So, offensively, we're kind of still figuring things out, still getting a little more consistent. We ran the ball a little bit better than we have in previous weeks. And then special teams was the one area that we kind of dropped the ball in on Saturday. We have been playing really well. Had a blunder on a kickoff, just miscommunication. And Grambling's turf was very slick. I don't know if you guys noticed a lot of slipping and falling that went on. And so on the kickoff, our returner slipped and fell as the ball was bouncing around and allowed them to recover it just before halftime. And then Fadul, who again is one of the best punters in America, even the best punters will miss hit one. And he missed hit one for the first time since we've been here. And everybody was going to where they thought the ball was going to be kicked, and they went the complete opposite direction. And that doesn't bode well for a punt team. Everybody knows, you can ask Vaughn, when you directional punt, everything is predicated on the kick. The kick has, just like a kickoff, if the whole coverage team is going to the spot on the field where the ball is designed to go. And it went the total opposite direction, and that's why the guy was able to return it for a touchdown. So he's kicking himself about that one. But again, defense picked us up. Offense was able to go down and get a field goal that last drive. Defense was able to preserve the victory. And so, again, great team win. That's the great thing about football is sometimes the offense falters. You got two other phases that can pick them up. Special teams and defense. Defense falters, you got two phases. Special teams faltered the other day, but offense and defense picked up the slack. And that's the mark of a great team. We play complementary football. And each unit picks up the other units. And so, again, much needed bye week. We got to get a lot of guys back healthy. If you're able to come out and watch us practice, I mean, we look like the walking wounded right now. Looks like a MASH unit. The old, you guys, the old MASH show, Joe watches. We're probably about 25% of our guys are walking around with boots on or slings or in street clothes because they can't practice right now. And so, again, definitely got to get those guys back healthy. We should have the vast majority back by next week. Isaiah Land is going to be a game time decision by next week. He's got cut against South Carolina State and sprained his MCL, and so he is, like I said, right now we're hopeful that he'll be back next week, but may even have to miss next week and then be back against Southern. But everybody else, we think we'll get them back by next week and be able to go in against Pine Bluff with a pretty loaded group of guys. So, but we'll take advantage of this bye week. Got one more practice tomorrow, and then we'll give them a couple of days off, and then bring them back on Sunday for our normal game week to get ready for homecoming. So, but again, excited to be here and look forward to definitely answering questions about this past week's game against Grambling, and obviously because we missed last week's meeting, any question that you guys had against South Carolina State as well. So, boss, we already know you got the first one. Go ahead and crank it up.
Coach, you're saying that we'll possibly have a good, strong team, full strength team. Now, with that being said, can we start putting the nail in the coffin before halftime?
That's always the hope, right? South Carolina State, we went in there with a comfortable 17-0 lead, and defense was playing extremely well. They couldn't get anything. And you look up, and 2 interceptions later, it's 14-17, and we're in the ball game. So again, we didn't play complimentary ball during those two situations. Defense was playing really well, and then offense gave them basically the ball on short field twice. And so, and then last week was kind of the same. Defense was playing extremely well. Offense was more consistent enough, and then special teams gave up 14 points basically, right? And so that's the challenge, is to find that game where all three phases are clicking at the same time. If we can get to that point, we feel like we can have those big, outputs and performances that we're capable of. And that's just, that's football. It's, they say the ball bounces crazy sometimes, and it had 2 crazy bounces on last Saturday, and two really great plays by South Carolina State the week before. I tell you what, we played some really good HBCU football players during our time here. B.J. Davis is right up there at the top, number 5 for South Carolina State. He is an amazing athlete. The 2 interceptions he had are Marquise Bell type plays. I mean, they were impressive to say the least. Now, it was a poor decision on both parts by the quarterback, but still, great play by him. And so again, they got to where they just kind of leaned on their 2 best players, the Davis brothers, BJ on defense and Shaq Davis on offense. He scored both touchdowns on offense, and BJ had both interceptions on defense. So, but again, we're definitely trying to get to that point where we consistently play that complete game in all 3 phases. And we get there, I think we'll be able to have the showing that we all have come to expect.
Because Coach Hadley right there, she's saying halftime, after half, she want to get on the field and coach.
Well, trust me, come on, by all means, because If you got the answers, let me know. But again, it's just, the South Carolina State's a really good team. First and foremost, I think people looked at their record and see, the MEAC is because of the fact that they lost so many teams over the last 4 years, 5 years. They don't start conference play until about week 6, 7. So South Carolina State hadn't played a conference game yet. Every game they played has been out of conference. So their record was, they're 1-4, 1-5. Well, they beat Virginia, so it's 2-5 right now. But they play North Carolina Central this weekend. This will be their first conference game. And whoever wins this game will more than likely win the league because they're both probably the two strongest teams. And, so again, it's not reflective of the caliber of team they are. They're a really good football team. And then, Grambling, even still with their record, you're talking about a team that's got just as much history than we do. And so their first home game, they weren't going to come in and let anybody just run all over them. They played as hard against us as they played anybody all season. And so, it was a hard-fought game. We knew it was going to be that way. But that's what you come to expect. That's what we feel like makes the SWAC what it is now, is that, there aren't those cupcake games where you just walk in and roll the ball out and you beat somebody by 50. Like, the SWAC has got really good football now. The teams are getting better. Coaching is getting better. And there's some competitive games on Saturday. And I think that's good for the fans. I think that's good for the league. And I think we'll continue to see that. But if we can put one together, I think we'll see the output that we expect.
Coach, get back to the quarterback. Can we get him to not lock in on one play or, come off that one?
Well,
at that game in South Carolina, he locked in one receiver, and there was, check that man there probably was open.
Well, sometimes, again, it's not so much of him locking in on the receiver. It's our plays he has the option to go to multiple guys. And on those two particular plays, those were what we call run-pass options. So he had the option to run the ball, to hand it off to the running back, or to throw it if the defense gave us a look that showed that they were overcommitted to the run. So he saw something that gave him an indication that they were loading the box, but it wasn't quite exactly what he needed to see. And so we should have gone to another place with the ball. And there are a couple of situations where, we might miss a guy, but I was looking at, I don't watch NFL football because we're always working on Sunday, but I was watching something, and one of the analysts was talking about either Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen or whatever, the game they played the other day, and the guy circled he missed a wide open player, right? I mean, everybody that I've been doing this now for 17 years, and I tell the quarterbacks who's running backs my coach, it's a lot easier when you have that clicker in your hand, right? And you can show that film and say, you see this guy running wide open right here? It's real easy. But when you're back behind that center, you got a bunch of 300-pound guys running at you, and it ain't so easy to see 53 yards of grass, right? And so he's not intentionally missing wide open guys. Our plays are designed to progress, right? Your eyes start here, then they go to here, and then here, and then here. And on most plays, number 19 is gonna be the first one your eyes go to. And then it's probably gonna be number 10. That's not a secret, so anybody watching film, I don't care about, they know that. They know 19 is the third leading receiver in the country, so most of our plays are gonna be designed that he's the first progression. And so he's not necessarily locking in on receivers, it's that his eyes are on a particular side of the field, and he's trying to get rid of the ball. And so if he misses a guy on the other side, it happens, right? And so we're just trying to get him to continue to train his eyes to go from the first progression to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth. But I tell you what, you got NFL quarterbacks who have a hard time doing that. And so it's something that we continue to work on, and he'll get there eventually, but right now we're still working through some things up front on the offensive line, and that's a huge component of it, right? When you're constantly having to move in the pocket and try to navigate bodies all around you, it's not as easy to see down the field, right? And so for him, a little bit better O-line play will help elevate his play, but they all go hand in hand. You want to neutralize Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, pressure on him. Put pressure on him, right? And that neutralizes any great quarterback. So if he's comfortable, if he can sit back there and just keep his eyes downfield, he can throw 400 yards a game. And hopefully we can get to that point up front where we can give him a little more time to go through his reads. But he's playing well enough for us to win. And to take away those 2 bad decisions at South Carolina State, he hadn't turned it over in 4 games before those 2. So we're pleased with where Jeremy is right now.
You possibly take the cloud off that little scene between Eddie Robinson Jr. and Deion after the game.
Say it again.
It was a national little conflict
Uh-huh.
between the Jackson State and the Alabama game, and they running each other off after the game on national TV. They wouldn't even shake hands. Deion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. So what's your question, though?
What was that about?
Oh, that's football. What you don't realize, that happens a lot more than people realize. It happened against us, Alabama A&M. The week before it happened when we played Alabama A&M. So we were up by 13 or whatever, and we ran a play. The quarterback threw the ball, and it was 20-something seconds left on the clock, and we ran the clock out, and their coach was upset because we threw the ball. And so when we shook up, it was a quick. He made a quick comment. I shook his hand and I kept walking. That happens probably 25% of the games, but I ain't Deion Sanders. He ain't Deion Sanders. If that was me and Eddie Robinson, it wouldn't have been anything. Nobody would say anything about it. But that's prime. So it became a big deal. It gave him a chance to have a meme, a whole song written about it now, and you know that's part of it. So it was literally nothing. They shook hands. Deion tried to pull him in to embrace him, because sometimes we'll shake hands, sometimes we'll shake and we'll give a quick hug. Well, when he pulled him in, Eddie kind of like, I don't want to hug you, and Deion knocked his hand off, and they kept going. Like, that was it. I mean, me and Eddie fight way worse than that. but no, it really was nothing. But anything dealing with Coach Prime right now is a big deal. It's a story, and that's what it was. So it's to me, in my opinion, it's way overblown. Coach Spader can tell you it happens. 11 games is gonna happen probably 3 or 4 times a season. That somebody gonna be upset when you come to the 50-yard line to shake hands. Like who really wants to shake your hand after you just whooped them? Like this ain't like Pop Warner. Like you just beat me and now they want me to shake hands and embrace you and all that. But it's sportsmanship, right? That's what But it was completely overblown in my opinion.
What are we gonna do about penalties?
I will use a politically correct answer because I don't want to get fined. He said, what are we going to do about penalties? Because I don't want to get fined. So we're not allowed to talk about officiating. So we just gotta work extremely hard to not give them any reason to throw a flag. I'll just say that. Last 2 games we played, the game has been called extremely close, to say the least. And I made the comment on Saturday to the officials that, hey, it's football, right? I mean, it's football. Like this is an emotional game. This is a passionate game. I know they don't want, there's certain things that they're trying to prevent. We don't want any fighting. We don't want any of those things that put a stain on the brand that we have. But if you play football and you ain't talking trash in football, like you ain't really playing football, right? Like, what are we doing? So if you're gonna throw a 15-yard flag because a guy talks trash, that makes it really tough for us. Like it just does. And so now, was every flag of the 15 on Saturday that? No. We had a couple of late hits out of bounds that I honestly haven't watched those to see if they were legitimate. I know they were close, but Jay McLeod got almost knocked into the stands, and we didn't get a flag. Jeremy Musa got hit completely in the head, and we didn't get a late hit on the quarterback. So all I ask in any game is that, and I always use a baseball analogy, that the strike zone's the strike zone, right? If the strike zone for one team is chest and knee, then it's got to be that for both teams. You can't be belly button to torso for the other team. And so there's certain things that we're getting called on that, in my opinion, other teams aren't getting called on against us. Up until South Carolina State, we were the least penalized team in the SWAC. For 5 weeks, we were the least penalized team in the country, in the conference. The last 2 weeks, we've had 30 penalties in 2 games. That's unheard of. So, yes, we got to play a little cleaner, but at some point, you got to let guys play football too, and that's my opinion.
So, Coach, after every game, do we bring this to the attention of the commissioner?
Who's attention?
So, do we bring the attention to the officials? To the commissioner, I'm sorry. Well, it's not the commissioner. It's the head of officials. So there is a head of officials. Each conference has a head of officials. And so we are supposed to send in any questionable calls that we have. They're supposed to watch every game as a officiating crew afterwards and determine whether every call is justified or not. So we shouldn't have to send it in, right? They're supposed to watch it. Just like on Saturday, we're gonna come in and watch the game to see if every call we made was a good call, a bad call. How do we fix it? They're supposed to do the same thing. And so we meet with officials before every game. I do, and I tell them the things that I want them to be on alert for the other team. And so it's, you know, we send them in sometimes, but I've been in this league. I've been in these leagues for 11 years now, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Sometimes awesome.
So the clock not moving late in the fourth quarter was so obvious and so egregious.
Yes.
It totally didn't move for almost 3 plays.
We were in Grambling. That's all I'm gonna say is that I just, you know, so again, it's thank God that we were able to win the game, and those adversities didn't affect us. But you can ask Coach. I mean, we give them officials hell now.
Once you pointing at the clock, though, didn't you point
I made them aware the clock wasn't moving.
2 plays, it didn't move?
I made them aware the clock wasn't moving. Just say that. So, you know, it eventually started moving. Eventually.
On the 4th play, it did move. Coach, Eddie Robinson Jr. that Dion had it with, that's not.
It's not his son.
Because, I mean, some fans, Grambling fans said, no.
No relation.
To him. So
No relation.
to
No.
him. Okay.
No relation. He played this way. He played Alabama State. Was a really good player, 2-time player of the year. Played 11 years in the NFL. But his daddy named Eddie Robinson too. But it's not Eddie Robinson from Grambling. I ain't gonna say the Eddie Robinson because his name is Eddie Robinson. But it's not Eddie Robinson that coached at Grambling. No, I don't think there's any relation. No.
Coach, going back to South Carolina State, you got so upset for certain plays. What was it?
Yeah, I got a flag. So one of those penalties is on me. I will say that. So against South Carolina State, on 3 different occasions, Chris Fadul was hit after he punted, and not one time did the flag was thrown. And so I became irate because that's how Chris tore his ACL in 21. And so the 2 positions in football that are the most vulnerable are the quarterback and the punter. And the punter more so than the quarterback. And so if a punter doesn't feel confident that he can kick the ball having one leg off the ground and come down and not be hit in his call, then it really affects his ability to do his job. And so I was irate because I think they had called one on us early in the game. And like I said, he had 3 different occasions he got hit after he punted the ball and they didn't call the flag one time. And so I was trying to get the attention of the head official. It was a TV timeout, and so the college football, they've kind of tried to make this emphasis on coaches protesting calls on the field. They don't mind you saying whatever, whenever, if you're on the sideline. They don't want you walking onto the field to do it. Now, that's really doing the game. This was a timeout situation. It was a TV timeout, so nobody was watching. I walked out to the numbers. I yelled for the head official. The side judge tried to get me back.
What did you say? What did you say?
Told him I need to see the head official. And he threw a flag. So,
MEAC officials or SWAC officials?
they were MEAC officials. South Carolina State was MEAC. This past week was SWAC. Yeah.
Coach, that penalty on the sideline when 11, I think he got somewhat banged up and stuff, and they called a personal foul. What was that? Was he? Did they call him out hitting out of
On their sideline?
On their side?
On number 12.
It was on number 11.
Was it 11?
11.
For our 11, BJ?
11. I 11.
Okay, I don't remember. I know Courtney got.
Came up there kind of hopping like when he came off.
I'm not sure. I don't remember that one.
Threw a personal foul.
Yeah, I know Courtney got one number 12 before halftime because he had a big hit on their sideline, and again,
But isn't that
yeah, he let them know that hey.
Coach, but isn't that the same play where this, who we playing, Grambling? The Grambling guy pushed him over,
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
and our kids have been taught, because we were taught to fight. And you can't just take anything, so don't punish the guys too much when you see a hard hit like that.
no, and so the funny thing about that one, so we discipline the guys on any pre-snap penalty or any post-whistle penalty. So any offsides, false start, illegal procedure, any personal foul, late hit, like you got to get it on Sunday like that. We're gonna. So when Courtney got the penalty, and I asked the official, I said, okay, well, what did he do? I know he got a big hit, kind of stood, not over the guy per se, but close enough. And I said, well, so what did he do? He said, well, he said X, Y, and Z. And you can't say that. I said, okay. So if you know Courtney's a very quiet, mild-mannered, just ever said a word since he's been here. And so I asked him, I said, Courtney, did you say something to him? He said, yeah. I said, what'd you say? And when he told me what he said, I said, okay, just don't say that again. But I was just happy that Courtney was playing with passion, and so I forgave that one. But yeah, me and Eddie play pickup basketball sometimes, and trash talking gets pretty intense. But Courtney said something that even Eddie wouldn't say to me, so I was proud of him.
Backing up.
Oh.
A little bit. Doc, let me get this one in, Doc, because I'm going to have to leave my phone to start ringing. Backing up a little. Offensive line. By the end of the season, the last game, we should be able to, with our offensive line, do whatever we want to do offensively with the line. We should have a gel offensive line, right? I know we got a freshman snapper, but they should have gel up.
That's the goal. Obviously you want to continue to work those guys, and coaches, coach really is doing everything he can to figure out where we're strong, right? There's certain things that we have to try to figure out what we can do offensively as far as running the football, and that's part of coaching, right? I mean, there's certain things that you're good at, some things you're not as good at, and we got to figure that part out. That's what this bye week is about. We're experimenting with a couple of things. We're looking at a couple of formational things or whatever we need to do to get the running game going. And right now we, aside from DeAndre Francis, who's the young one of the group, we don't really have that home run back like Bishop was last year. And so all of our backs are kind of big, physical, downhill guys. And so we're missing the explosive plays that we had in the past. We're not getting the 20-yard runs, the 15 to 30-yard runs. Everything is 4 yards, 6 yards. Every now and then we'll pop a 10 to 12-yard run. So we just got to find a way to manufacture more explosive plays. And that may involve getting Xavier Smith and K-Dot involved in the run game more as wideouts. Like, we just got to be creative in how we do that, because it makes it, when you have an inexperienced line, it makes it more difficult to have those 10, 11, 12 play drives that you got to have. And so that's where we are now. We're lacking that big playability in the run game that we had in the past. We had it in the pass game, but we're missing in the run game, so we got to figure that part out. Coach, Spade, you ready? You good? All right. Good. Oh, Coach, coming, Coach.
South Carolina. We had this conversation last year about playing 4 quarters. Gotta play all 4 quarters. 20 points up. Third quarter. Almost to the end of the third quarter. You can't relax. You got a whole 4 quarters to go. I mean, a fourth quarter to play. 20 points ain't nothing. As you can see, they went back on you twice. Got 2 touchdowns. So that means 20 points and 14. All they needed was a touchdown and extra point. You can't play 3.5 quarters. You gotta play all 4 quarters to the end. They cannot relax. That is not safe. Grambling. Okay, I just come out of my 51st class reunion this weekend. Saturday, I couldn't get home fast enough to get to the TV. I had somebody calling me, telling me, giving me the updates every time. When I got home, got to the channel, went down on my knees on the 1 and 28 minutes, 28 seconds, 1 minute, 28 seconds.
That's when they start running the clock, once you do that, yeah.
Literally on my knees in front of the TV. I said, Lord, if they don't bring back this kid, he cannot come back to Florida. Don't let him come back to Florida.
That's not a prayer, that's a threat.
That's too much on my heart.
Mine too, by the way. Yeah.
If the good Lord let me see January the 13th, I'll have my 3 score and 10. I want to see it. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Homecoming?
Oh, yeah.
Please don't make me come out there.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I got to say.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. So and here's the funny part about all of this, and you know I'm pretty candid with my group. So we're up 20-0 against South Carolina State, right?
Amen.
If we just start handing the ball off and go 3 and out and punt, and then because we're up again, maybe they score with 20-7, and then we run the ball again 3 straight times and punt, and then if we stop them, whatever, we win the game 20-7. Let's just say, for giggles, we win the game 20-7, but we just stop throwing it because we got a comfortable lead. You know what I'm going to hear?
Yeah.
Coach, y'all took the gas off the pedal. You stopped trying to score. You stopped. It's like, okay, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So for us, we're playing football, right? We threw 2 passes and we threw 2 interceptions. It's football. It happens, right? So again, it's that it's never, there's never a 100% foolproof. This is the right way to play the game, close the game out. Even the other day, so of course, Ray Matthews is close friend, coached me in high school, been with me for 20+ years, 25+ years. And just yesterday, we watched the last drive, and we were up 17-16. And it was 4 minutes and something on the clock. And we got a first down, we ran the ball, got a first down. And I can't remember if they had 1 timeout or 2 timeouts. And he was like, well, you could have just ran the clock out. Just run the ball, and kick a field goal. And they may have a minute left or whatever, 30-some seconds left to go score. I said, well, we could have, but we missed a field goal or something happens and they got the ball, they go down and kick a field goal, we lost. And now I played not to lose. So I just believe in playing to win. And we're gonna play to win. South Carolina State, we played to win. Tommy Mitchell gambles a lot. We roll the dice and crapped out, Tommy. 2 straight drives, we crapped out. But much like about a year ago, I was down to my last chip. And I said, well, we're gonna see what happens. And I played it, I won, and next thing you know, I was up, I was way up again. So it happens, football it's sports, it's life. I mean, we roll the dice sometimes, and I tell you what, I've been a head coach now for 7 years. I've been coaching now for 17. It's always a great call when it works. And it's always a terrible call when it doesn't. But we don't know until the outcome, so, but these guys, the one thing I can say is these guys, the defense after those 2 drives, they stood up like they were supposed to. And that's their job. We said defense, stop.
But the game ain't over till the clock says.
Right, the game, and so again, that's the thing. We're continuing to play and play aggressive, and so even in the game Saturday, we ran a play, we called a run play with a pass tag. They went all out blitz. Jeremy checked to a pass play, and the outside receiver didn't get the signal. So he was supposed to run a hitch route, a stop route, and Xavier was supposed to run the deep route. Well, they both ran deep. Jeremy threw it. Xavier saw K-Dot running deep, and he stopped because he thought he was throwing to him, and it was an incomplete pass. If K-Dot runs the right route, he throws Xavier a touchdown pass, and now we're up 17 to, or now it's 24 to 16, and they got to score and get 2. So that would have been the game-winning touchdown pass with 1 minute and 28 seconds left, as opposed to an incomplete pass, and now it's 3rd down and whatever. So it gets just, you roll the dice, you call the game, but we're going to play aggressive as much as we can. I just don't believe in playing not to lose. And I think you get yourself beat more because the team senses that, they start to tense up. When we play aggressive, we're going to play aggressive, and it's worked out for us more times than it has not. And but definitely this coming week, we want to make sure that we don't put ourselves in that position late to have to make it a close game. That's the goal. I don't like those heart palpitations either. So we're gonna try to make sure we take care of business early on and finish them off as well.
Thank you.
I agree that a win is a win, even if it looks ugly. But I grew up looking at cartoons, and one of them was called Pogo. Probably not there anymore, P-O-G-O. And a statement that Pogo once made when I was a kid is that we have met the enemy, and he is us. And that's what reminded me. That's what I thought of watching that game.
Yeah, at times we were our own worst enemy. No doubt about it. We were our own worst enemy at times. And so again, and I've told the team that in the beginning, like when we don't beat FAMU, we're pretty darn good. But if we're fighting the other team, the officials, and ourselves, it's gonna be real tough to win that one. So again, we got to make sure we don't beat ourselves. But that is a great point. We definitely beat ourselves at times.
Hey, Coach, I still have my questions for you.
Good. Hey, good. Let me get some when you get changed.
You need it. Anyway, we said a running game and everything. We know if you work on our running game, you control it because it's more physical. And I know if you want to control block or anything like that, please work on that running game. We got some big backs, we got some big linemen. Those guys just come off the line right and they block. Now what will happen when you start running the ball? Those corners, they start coming up. Now I can throw it. But they wasn't, the big guys, they was getting in the right position, the alignment and assignment. Those guys are getting the right stand and everything, but they get in the way of the backs. They wasn't moving. I said, what's going on here? I'm weighing 300 pounds and I can't move something. I can move and make him go in another. If he go in the A gap or thing, I'm gonna keep him in it and don't let him come back. And that's what would happen. The backs get the ball, but we don't know where for him to go.
Yeah.
Because our offensive line was in their way. I said, hey, what's going on here? We pull out. They can't get round fast enough to get outside for you to run out there because they're running into one another. They wasn't blocked down. I supposed to block this guy here, and they didn't know who to block. I said, they don't know who to block.
Well, and so I told Coach Henry at halftime. I said we got an oil leak.
Yeah.
Right. Every play we got a leaky valve. Right. We got to fix the leaky valve. Right. So one player might be the center, didn't finish his block, and the guy slipped off and made a tackle. The next play, it might be the right tackle that didn't finish his block and the guy fell off. The next play, it was never the same guy. If it's the same guy, it's like, okay, go get him out. Like he's hurting us. Get him out the game. Well, it wasn't one guy. It was just play after play. It was somebody different. And I said, Coach, we got to fix the oil leak. Now, on a couple plays, it was an oil spill. It was all 5 of them just going haywire. You know, that happened once or twice. But so that's the thing. We just got to get to where we're consistently playing good football, everybody. And that's, I've said it a million times, that's the beauty of the sport of football. It's the only sport that I know of that it takes all 11 guys to do it right for the play to be successful. It's we had the perfect play call on, the perfect call on. We threw a throwback pass to the tight end. Perfect play call. Why? I mean, Eddie would have walked in, and the tight end slips and falls, and it's like so. But it's just that. But that's football, right? And so we got to get to a point where all the 11 guys understand how critical their job is, and they take pride in it and doing it the right way and straining their bodies and finishing blocks. We're getting on the right guy. We don't have a lot of missed assignments. We just got to finish. We got young guys, like a high school guy right now. A year ago, that block was good enough. That getting on that one technique or 2 hours, that would have been good enough last year because he's much stronger than that guy he's going against. He's probably a little bit quicker. But now you're going against a senior in college. You might reach him on the snap, but that guy's going to fight across your face and make the tackle. And that's what's happening too much for us up front. So we got to get to where we learn how to finish blocks, and when we do that, we'll be able to run the ball a lot more effectively.
Ten had one of his best games Saturday. I think when you start looking at those guys run, I think he made some folks move. He lost some folks, I think.
K-Dot?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. So their game plan, and we figured it out about the third drive. Their game plan was to stop 19. So they were gonna spin their coverage to wherever he was on the field. They were gonna spin the coverage that way. Now because we moved him around so much, it took us a while to figure that out. I was like, okay. I started going over the coverages and like, okay, I said, check and see where 19 was, and by that time we figured out that they're doubling 19. And so at that point now, it's 10's gonna have a big game. So that's the great thing now.
But David still had a good game.
He still had a good game, yeah, but the good thing about that is now they know, well, that game plan doesn't work. You can't try to take away 19 because 10's gonna have a great game. So we got some dynamic wideouts, and that's the luxury of it. Now we can just get the ground game going to add that to it. Now you can't defend us, and that's the goal. That's what we got to get to.
Coach, I want to know how many offensive linemen are you down to?
We got a good number. We're at 16 that we have that are fresh bodies. We've lost 2. So Caesar, who we lost the first game in Carolina, and then Brian Crawford is still nursing injuries. So, but everybody else is healthy. It's just, again, we're young on the inside. So we got a true freshman center, a redshirt freshman left guard, and a true sophomore right guard. So we're still, those guys are still learning college football. TJ Demas this time last year was getting ready for his high school homecoming. This time last year, Charles Davis was down on the scout team, helping the defense get better. And then TJ Lee was playing, but he's the only one. Jalen Goss, the left tackle, was over at Florida State sitting on the bench. He didn't play at all. And Cam Copeland was starting. So we have one returning starter on the offensive line. TJ started some, but the other 3 guys, they hadn't played college football in a long time, or at all. So they're learning the game. They're just learning the college game, the speed, the tempo. In high school, again, when TJ Demas bench presses about 430 pounds, something like that, the center. So he's strong as a bull. Well, in high school, when you bench that much, you're gonna manhandle most defensive linemen that you see in high school, because that guy across from you probably won't even go to college to play football. He's just a good high school defensive lineman. Well, when you come to college, all 4 of those guys are here on scholarship, dog. They're good players, and so for him, he could have taken a playoff in high school. He didn't have to work as hard to get that guy blocked and keep him blocked. Well, now you do. And so he's learning that now, that in order to be a good lineman at this level, you have to learn how to finish blocks. Again, it's not just about getting on your guy. You gotta finish the block. Make sure that your defense, your player does not make the tackle. And too many times you'll see our guys, now he's still engaged, but he's lost his leverage. And now the guy's tackling the running back. And so we're having a hard time breaking through the first level. If we can get to the second level, Jay McLeod, TJ, AJ Davis, they're dynamic enough, and you saw a couple times in the game, they can make a guy miss. But we're not getting to that second level enough because we got defensive linemen that are grabbing their legs, swiping at their feet, and it's preventing, when you're 245, you're like a semi-truck. It takes a while to get going, and once you get going, now you're hard to stop. Well, he ain't getting going because he's getting grabbed at the line of scrimmage too many times. So we got to get those guys to just understand how they have to play. They're talented enough. They just got to get that mentality in them to finish. And I tell you what, nobody works harder at it than Coach Henry. He stays on their butts about it, and we just got to be patient with them until they figure it out. So hopefully by next week, they figure that part out.
And how is 69? I mean, he should be commended because he gutted.
Yeah, TJ Lee.
I saw him go down 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, cramping. It was hot there. It's hot down there in Gremlin now. That hole is hot. And so we didn't prepare for that. It had been a while since we played a hot game. And we got there, it was 89 degrees. That was what the temperature read. So to put it in perspective, Coach Patterson, our defensive line coach, was cramping after the game. He was in the locker room full body cramping, so it was pretty hot. And that walk, I mean, good God, the walk from the field house to the football field. I mean, you got to walk up a hill, then up some stairs, I mean, we were tired. Like I contemplated at halftime just staying out on the field. If it wasn't so hot, we probably would have just stayed on the field and just did our halftime down there. But it was so hot, I had to get them inside and take the sun off. But yeah, it was a hot game. And so TJ was cramping. He wasn't hurt. He was cramping. I mean, who was it? I think it was Kendall Bowler. Started cramping in his hand. So if your hand start cramping, you're in bad shape, dog. Ain't nothing but downhill from there once you start cramping in your hand. And Dr. Austin, of course, you know, with all your sickle cell work. So, they ain't got sickle cell, but them full body cramps ain't no joke. And we didn't have one, but we'd gotten close. So TJ gutted it out. Bowler gutted it out. That last drive, we were down to about our third team corners. But we had some guys that were.
Yeah, because both bowlers went at
both bowlers were out. Yeah, so it was, and again, that's a testament to those guys. They were ready to go.
I don't have a question. I watched the game, and then I watched the game again, and then I watched the fourth quarter again 3 times. And I was critical initially, but one thing that you said in here this afternoon is that you play to win, and it just reminded me of a coach that FAMU before you, who said, "Baby, if you're up 99-0, and it's in the fourth quarter, and you're on the 1-yard line, 3 seconds to go. Push it over." So, Coach, thank you for reminding me of how Rattlers are supposed to play football.
Well, I appreciate that. I wear a shirt proudly in pregame. Any other questions?
Of course, my grandson is in the 9th grade is having a national speech today because of the cell research he's involved in. My wife has promised me that if she don't get a chance to see that, I might have to pay some kind of price.
So you mean we got to wrap this up, huh? Okay.
All right.
Real quick, last couple.
At K-Dot, nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
I have people in the stands in Tallahassee asking, who is he, where is he? South Carolina, we asked the same question. I told you just what you told me. Yeah, free play before the season even started. He just got back.
Oh yeah, he's back.
And my wife just loved it to death.
I appreciate it.
Has the kicker been hurt? Because
Which one?
the one that kicks off.
Jose?
Yeah, because Saturday was the first time in a long time he was kicking in the end zone.
No, South Carolina State. So this is what happened. South Carolina State. We usually travel. When we travel, our travel party includes ball boys and ball girls. So we get our 4 balls that we're gonna use for the game. Well, those kickers, and Vaughn can tell you, they're very particular about their ball. They want old, kind of beat up balls to kick. Well, I can tell it when I look at it by the way it looks. When I looked at the kickoff tee, I was like, that's a brand new, fresh football, and you can't kick it hard enough. And so when I asked one of our balls, like, who's doing balls for us? South Carolina State's officials wouldn't let our people do balls. So their kids were throwing our balls in to kick. So he was kicking quarterback balls during the game, and that's why the ball wasn't going in the end zone. When he kicks our balls, they go in the end zone. But it was them not letting them. That was the first time I've seen that they wouldn't let our ball boys and ball girls run balls for that game. Yeah, because we use our balls. Yeah.
Coach, the GoFundMe page for Coach Spady, to whom do you make the check? And what's his first name?
James.
All right.
So I'll get that information to Eddie. He can put it in the chat for everybody to do that. So, all right.
One other question.
Last one. We gotta go.
Last one. Offensive line. You don't want them. They in a 3-point stand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that tackle. Why do they raise up, coach? When they do that when they in the stand, stay low to get that leverage.
So on runs they should. Runs they passes. They're setting obviously, so they raise up more. But yeah, they gotta stay low.
They raising up. That's why the defense is coming forward.
Yeah.
The second they raise up, they keep pushing them back.
Right.
Now when they stay down there, they can move them back.
Yeah, we gotta play lower, and that's yeah. So we'll get you over there to get with Coach Henry to talk to him about that old line. But all right, so pace yourselves, right? Start Sunday. We got a whole lot of homecoming festivities, and they're gonna last throughout the whole week. So like we tell our players, okay, you gotta start hydrating, you gotta start getting your rest, you gotta start taking care of yourself. Because again, on Saturday by game day, we need to see you in the stands. We don't need anybody saying they couldn't make it because, you know, they've had a hard night on Friday night. So take care of yourself, and we love you guys. We'll see y'all next week. Go Riders.
All right.
Thank you, Coach. Remember next week, Coach, the new athletic director will be here at the 220 quarterback club next week. Okay. So, introduce her.